Welcome to our film documentary. We have been exploring the choices people make and the impact of those choices.
We have also learnt how to use different equipment involved in making a film.
We have been exploring the choices people make and the impact of those choices.
We have shared our stories and interviewed others. The last part of the project saw us visiting 2 different prisons where we had the chance to interview young offenders.
We hope you enjoy our film and see that the choices you make can affect our lives forever.
When I was 13, I stole a keyring off a bag in Primark. It wasn't planned, I just did it, and we walked out of the shop thinking we got away with it. Suddenly the police came behind us, walked us out of the shopping centre and into a police car. I felt scared, worried of what my mum and dad was going to say. I didn't know what was going on. They took me home and came in the house to talk to my mum and dad. I felt really embarrassed. A week later, I had to go and see someone from the youth offenders team. There were 9 other people like me, and we all had to share what we had done. I felt scared and not very confident. We watched some videos and it made me think about what I had done. Even though I was scared, this experience, I have done it again. It wasn't good what I did, but it was my choice. I didn't care what other people thought. This time I was lucky I didn't get caught.
I'm on Sunday and I work for the youth justice system in Barnsley at the attendance centre.
What does your job involve?
My job involves working with young people. Some of them have already offended, some I work with before they've been to court. Some of the type of work we do with them, pointing out different things, career choices.
Well, me and my mates were at school and we were really bored at break, so I thought we'd go roaming round and we went into a closet and we found some money in a memory sass bag, and then we took that and then we went back to his lessons, and then at the end of the day we went home but we got caught.
When I was 10 years old, I used to live in a town called Mexborough. I lived in a rough area, and everywhere you went there were drugs, or crime, or people robbing and fighting. I followed that road for 2 years. I took loads of drugs. My father left us and my mum was a full-time bed addict. She would take drugs, go to sleep and leave me to look after my brothers. I would have cannabis, methadone, ket, MCAT, amphetamines, crystal meth and alcohol. I didn't do it because I liked it. I did it because I could. No one was there to say no or you're grounded. On the 12th of August, the day that I found out that I could go into foster care, and everything has been going great since. I've been in care now for 3 years, and my mum, she's been off drugs for 3 years, and so have I.
Police got involved and I got put on a conditional caution, not just for that but some of the wrong choices that I made.
For about 2 years, I started feeling very inadequate and extremely conscious about how people perceived me, and became very much involved with a crowd of people who were very negative. As I got to know this particular group for a while, I got to know a boy who I thought was understanding and nice, and later he became my boyfriend. Eventually, he introduced me to cocaine and MCAT and FET. At this point, I was never going to school. I was always running away from home, so I thought, why not? I've got
the majority of my
nothing to live
work is antisocial behaviour with young people, but then I have a radio on at all times, and I get called from the control room as and when jobs come in my area. It's hard because you take each individual how you find them. Some you can see are easily led, for example, and they just need perhaps an arm round them or just a bit of help. But then you have others that are just
Determined to be the things.
I would say determined, but that's just what they do, and you can, as much as you want to help them change, you can see you want to It's going to be tough.
Dirty. Up north we get dirty too. I wouldn't say murky. Up north I get dirty. Like lunchtime at a nursery. Where you been if you ain't heard me?
I was kind of rebellious, kind of angry at everything, you know, and my biggest outlet for that was drugs, which is a common thing that a lot of young people turn to these days. I used to justify it by all means, you know, I need this, I've been so badly done to, it makes me feel better, etc, etc. But basically what it did was it lowered my motivation to actually succeed, to do anything. It clouded my judgment, and it generally just dug myself deeper into a hole, which ultimately one day led me into prison.
What drugs did you take?
Like I said, I'll be totally honest in this interview. I've taken a lot of different drugs. My biggest problem was cannabis. I was a cocaine addict. Lots of different things, ecstasy, MDMA, generally pretty much the whole roster, what you can think of.
How did you get into prison?
How did I get into prison? Well, I was one day like pretty out of it, pretty high, drinking vodka, and when I said it clouds your judgment, I'm not a very violent person, but it made me violent. I got into a fight in Barnsley town centre with two older people that, you know, I used the excuse for a while that they were being racist and I hate racism, which they were, but it was no excuse for what I did. Obviously I beat these guys up, caused a whole host of damage to the local area and ended up in prison.
Like lunchtime at a nursery. Where you been if you ain't heard me? I'm Eugene Bruce. Old school but your girl never knew. Like I won't take her out and win the round without using dope slang.
When I came out of prison, I was generally still quite angry. Thought the world owed me something, which it didn't, because you've only got yourself to rely on, and if you open your eyes up, there's a lot of opportunities out there, but I was clouded by them, and it just led me. I became homeless, struggling for rent, because I was spending all my money on drugs, things like that, and it just led me down a bad path, like I say. But I did change that around eventually.
Well, we've just been to a prison where there's been quite a lot of people who've committed crimes, which is some can be our age or 1 or 2 years older. And you can just think, well, if I'm like gonna keep going down the path that I've been once, I could end up like them.
When we arrived, I felt quite, well, I won't say quite, I'd say I was really nervous. Once we met that guard, and I felt a little more comfortable. And when we went into that place where cells were, it was a little cramped, so as though that's all you can go into. And then when we went in cells that were even more cramped, and I couldn't take it.
Right, when I went in, I didn't know what to expect. From prisoners when we were in that room, I didn't know if they were going to be aggressive, intimidating me. I'd look at you. If they were really calm and honest with their answers.
At first, when I walked in, I felt quite scared, because I looked at them and I thought, while they're prisoners.
Made me feel like reality check.
Totally gonna change. Before I went in, like, oh yeah, I'd do this. Oh yeah, we'll go and put that window. And not much is it. But then after stories I've heard about daft things may seem from like doing something like that could end up in prison. So just think twice about what you're doing.
To H&P style, say it then.
Prison
To interview these prisoners
about this
documentary
that we're doing called Choices.
I feel nervous because I'm scared of what they do if I were actually a person going to prison and what they do to you and like how they treat you when you're in there, and if that were actually me and if I were actually going to prison, then it'd just be a living hell.
I'm really scared. Like I prefer, like, if I were a prisoner in there, I think I'd be terrified.
Well, I'm a bit nervous because like I don't know what it's like and I ain't been before, and like seeing what they live like, just, you know.
It makes me feel like I wish I'd never did them, because if I ended up in prison, I'd not know what to do.
If I got a criminal record, I wouldn't be able to be a policewoman, and there'd be like no left for me because that's my ambitions, to do what I want when I'm older.
Why do you want to be a policewoman?
Because I want to help people, like kids in care and stuff, like teenagers that are being bad, or like adults that are on drugs that need help.